guys, welcome back to I'm Not Lost, I'm Exploring. It's Robbie. I got a special guest with me today, Lewis from Simply Expo Venturing. And today we're going to tackle the upper half of the Switchback Railroad here between Jim Thorpe and Summit Hill. Some of the things that we'll probably see today are the Indian Steps. We're going to check out the Hacklebernie Mine, the Mount Pisgah Overlook. Hopefully we make it to the engine house. And I'll bring you guys along on the journey. Thanks for joining us. Lewis, you want to say anything?
Oh, I'm glad to be here along with this guy. He knows this a little bit better than I do. I've been up here to the Jim Thorpe area, and I just caught my attention a while back, but unfortunately I didn't able to come back since that point. So now I'm glad to be back here and be able to come and do this.
I appreciate him coming along, and I appreciate you guys coming along. We got a few blowdowns we got to work through. So I was just saying to Lewis about the speed of the carts coming through here between 50 and 65 miles an hour, which is kind of incredible to think that, you know, on this path at some point cars were coming through here loaded with coal, or people at some points, and loaded and going at that speed with no brakes and no engine and really no way to slow them down in case of emergency. And if you ever sat on a picnic bench, that's pretty much about the same platform that they were sitting on in those carts. So move away. So this is an area known as the Indian Steps, and I'm sure you can see them back there. There's several sets of these. We may try to climb up one set. This is really steep, so I'm not up to it today. Maybe I could talk Lewis into climbing up there for us. We'll see. Hopefully I don't bite it. Woo. It's a lot steeper than it looks. This is really steep, much steeper than I thought it was just by looking down below. But just to give you an idea, Lewis is down there, and I'm only, what do you think, I'm maybe like 2% of this on the way up, and it's like straight up. So yeah, it's definitely a hot day for June, for the beginning of June, and we just came down from those steps up there. We each took our turn kind of climbing up, maybe about, I don't know, 2% of them or something.
20 feet.
20 feet up, yeah. And it definitely feels like you walked a mile by the time you get up those couple steps. But pretty neat little climb. But I know there's another section that is supposed to be in better shape, so we'll check them out as well. Imagine trying to climb up them steps every day. I'm thinking this is why they put those steps in, because you guys can see it's just pretty much one big boulder field, and some of them are probably about the size of a car or a truck. They're much larger than they probably appear on the camera. And this whole area is kind of similar to that. But I know there's a pond. There's a pond up on top of that mountain and I'm not sure. I'm hoping it's not that set of steps. I'm hoping it's the next set of steps. But they actually used the water. It was piped down, and they used that water for the steam engines. I almost fell that time. So there's a lot of history along this trail, but at the same time, you really got to look for it, because we would have walked right by those steps, you know, had I not known to look for them. And it's the same with the mine that we're going to go to in a little bit. You'd actually walk right over top of it, and in fact, I know many people have walked right over top of it and never even known it was there. So we'll bring you guys back in a little bit when we see something else interesting. Now, how many miles do you think we're into this? About 3 from where we started? Obviously not 3 from that split.
Yeah.
So we're probably about halfway, I would say, to Mount Pisgah from where we are at this current location.
As you can see, some of the stones here are the size of a car. Sometimes even a pickup truck.
Some of them might be the size of a bus.
I mean, look how large the stones are up that way, especially. Wow.
So I don't know if I pointed it out yet. I don't believe I did, but we're actually on top of a rock wall walking through here. And me and Lewis just stopped, and we noticed there's like some old metal. I don't know, it looks like it may have been a dump of some kind, but it's mostly buckets. At least that I can see from here, it looks like mostly buckets. Which the critters made a nice little home in there. But we still have quite a ways to go. That's where Lewis wants to go climbing, he said. No. No. Maybe what? In the fall, Lewis? From the top.
In the fall, I'll fall.
In the fall, we'll both fall. A lot of lichen. I bet that was really green a few days ago. So we've been walking across these rail ties every so often. When we first started noticing, they were much thinner, but they're spaced very far apart, or at least the ones that are still remaining are spaced very far apart. And it almost feels like we're walking actually to the right of where the road, or where the railroad would have run through here. So I don't know if there was a footpath going way back then, but you can definitely see where it's more open to our left. So there's more mountain laurel up top and all along through here. It's the first section we've seen any of it. Some rhododendron down there too, but the mountain laurel is all starting to bloom along the trail. You can see there's a section up here that has a little more. We are gaining elevation as we climb up here, but the grade of the path is very tolerable. It's almost flat. But you can see the height we're at now, and we're slowly working our way up the mountain now. But again, the grade of the path is probably, I would say, 3 or 4%. It's not extreme at all. It's a very easy path to walk. Probably be more fun on a bike. There are quite a few down trees through here. I've seen many animals. Squirrels, a few chipmunks. That's about it. We're kind of going through like a mountain laurel tunnel. I know. Not sure what we're looking at. It's another rock wall right there through the bush. Let's see if I can get us on top of it. We're still, I think, a ways before the mine. So what kind of caught our eye and brought our attention to this is there's a trail that's right there that runs parallel to the trail that we're actually walking on. And then I saw this, we noticed this wall here. I don't know what this was for, if there was a building here or not. It's pretty neat. And it's one heck of a drop off from up here. See Lewis over there? Hi, Lewis. So that's what we're looking at here. And it goes up a pretty good distance. So I don't know if there's a building here or what. We'll walk up along a little bit and see if there's anything. There's like no ruins or anything in here. Looks like another one of those creepy notes right here. And then there's a frog right on that level right there, if you can see him. I'm trying to get a picture of that frog. Found another one of those creepy notes you guys have seen. I've seen them a few times now, but this is still that trail where we found that wall right there. And now you can see where the switchback is built up with another one of those rock walls. So I don't know if this was just another road or something that ran parallel to the switchback, but I know it goes down. I know we're gonna have to drop down at some point to look into the mine, into the Hacklebernie. But yeah, it's a pretty neat little area. So another cool thing I think I probably pointed out already is there's no mortar in those joints. It's purely stacked stone. Well, as you can see, it's just built up to hold the retention wall on this side for the switchback. So I'm assuming that's probably the same thing that is off to our left here. Alright, so back up on the switchback. Lewis is working his way back up on the switchback. I believe some of that may be just a retention wall for possibly a second section, or maybe a section that washed out. It's a little difficult to find history on this. Some of this section of this trail, just because of the pure age of the trail itself. We're talking almost 200 years of history here. But for us, it's kind of just a walk in the woods. Again, it's amazing to think, you know, at that time, this was probably what was considered the first roller coaster in Pennsylvania, in the United States. It predates the Coney Island roller coaster by almost a decade. So it's difficult to imagine that, like I said on the other video, cars whipping by at 50 miles an hour loaded with coal and no engines and no brakes. So even little variants in the trail or the railroad would probably cause quite a big issue. Yeah. And then we're going to cross over this cliff right here onto the other side of the trail. There's a big bar in the middle here. I don't know what it's for. There's like a big bar right here.
Oh yeah.
It looks like an islet on this side. Not really sure what it's for.
Got it. I should have.
Yeah, so you can see where a bridge crossed here. But I don't know if it was like wood and it burned out or if it collapsed. Have to look for that. It's really only a section like right here where it's really tight.
It's right there.
It's barely as wide as your foot. The rest of it seems pretty solid. Yeah, it's funny. It's like there's like an islet there. Yeah, just that one part that's really sketchy. I mean, the whole thing's kind of sketchy, but that little part right there is like, wow. Yeah.
That's kind of cool though.
So just to give you guys an idea of the drop from that cliff that we were just on right there, it's a pretty steady drop, probably about maybe 50 feet. A few things to hit on the way down. We're gonna make our way down there, and now that's where we'll pick up next, I think. Lots of old trees back. So we dropped down onto the trail that mirrors the switchback. It's a little easier to get down to that mine instead of trying to climb straight down that bank. So we took the safe route, and now we're backtracking to the mine. So this is the trail we're on currently, and the switchback is up on top of that hill right there. And this trail just... Yeah, I think something might call that home. There's a lot of dirt in that that's moved around. I'm not going to crawl in there to find out what it is.
Me neither.
It's another little road that follows along through here. Yeah, it definitely... So if you can see through that clearing of the trees, that's the cliff we were just on top of. And now we're coming up to the entrance to the Hacklebernie Mine. Fern growth back here is incredible. And you can see the mine back there. For your muck boots?
Nope. Darn.
Probably a foot deep.
Oh, darn.
Yeah, definitely need a brighter light than what I have. Lewis brought the sun with him today. Oh yeah. Much brighter than my headlamp. It's flooded pretty far back, it looks like.
Oh wow.
I want to go back there so bad.
Yeah, so bad too, but I don't have any muck boots.
You think that's about a foot deep?
Oh yeah, maybe
Probably.
even more in some spots.
And then before the wall, and then after the wall, it looks like it's still flooded out pretty good. There's a boot for you, Lewis, right there. Just one, you just gotta hop.
Yeah, I see it right there.
So, up on top of that rock, that's the cliff we climbed across a little bit ago. And this is the mine we were hoping to get into today. But it's quite flooded, as you guys can see. So we'll have to make a return trip for this one.
Yeah, hopefully it won't be flooded or have to bring some muck boots along.
Yeah, that's one of the things too, I thought. But I didn't know what to expect. Looks like this was gated off at one point. I'm thinking that's what might be in the water there. I don't know if you can see it or not. It's pretty cool. Right when I walked back here, a frog jumped in the water. It scared the crap out of me. Yeah. So we're standing here in front of the Hacklebernie Mine. It was dug out in 1824, possibly one of the oldest tunnels in the country. And it must have been a lot of work to get through this because it seems like it's mostly conglomerate. So I'd imagine as you go back in, it's solid rock, but unfortunately, with the flooding in there, and we were not prepared to do that today. So look for a video in the future. We'll be back here at the Hacklebernie, and I'll definitely give you guys some more information, whether it's in a description or a voiceover.
Oh my gosh, that feels so good right from here.
You still feel it out there?
Yeah, right here, and you can feel it.
You feel it going right through it.
Rushing down.
I wonder where it gets in at. But it's all the way out here. So this is what we had to climb through to get here. It's a little muddy. Of course, it's orange. The tunnel is flooded. That's the cliff that we walked across a little bit ago before backtracking the trail, so we didn't have to climb down that monster right there. And that was the whole reason for the backtrack on the trail. But it's pretty cool to get to see this. And then again, you know, in the future we'll come back down and we'll actually get into that cave and do some exploring, see how far back we can get. There are other videos out there, but I want to see it for myself. So hopefully you guys come along with me as well. See, the water runs out from the mine and then down the hill, and of course it has that orange hue from the iron in the mine. I guess we're gonna go up this way. All right, here we go. Pretty cool little outcroppings here. I kind of want to climb in there. And we're going up, 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 up. I don't know if I can see her on the camera. Oh, there it goes. It just popped up so quick.
We startled it. That's her. Yep, she's right up there.
Oh yeah, now looking at us.
Looking down at us.
Hope that comes out on camera better than I can see it.
Yeah.
I think there's a rabbit or a chipmunk right in there. Some more sunlight. It's still neat to see that we haven't been seeing a whole lot of wildlife. We were just talking about it, and we just ran across a fawn a little bit ago. But other than that, the only thing we've seen so far were frogs. So, some more of them gigantic boulders. Some pretty cool outcroppings up there. They're even larger than the ones that we saw earlier in the trail. But other than these little outcroppings, this is pretty much what the trail has been like so far for the majority of the time since we left Mauch Chunk Lake. Relatively flat, slight incline, barely noticeable. We're definitely making our way up the mountain. It's definitely man-made. I mean, well, the pipe obviously, but this got to be the area where the steps are. There's more pipe down there. Runs down the mountain. Here is that other set of steps that I was talking about. And these are much steeper than the other ones even. So this climbs up, and there's actually a pond above these that we were just looking at that piped the water down. I believe the water was actually used for the steam engine But these are much steeper than the other steps.
So you'll hear me refer to these steps several times in this video as the Indian steps. Doing that because that is what they are locally known as there was a lore that the Indians used to build these steps to get over top of the mountain instead of climbing up the ridges. The actual fact is this was built by the Gehring brothers, a couple of miners back in the 1800s.
Lewis is climbing up them sketchy steps. So I'll show you guys around this little boulder field here. It's pretty cool. Big rock face here. Big cliff. Pretty cool area altogether. Just to give you an idea how steep they are. There's Lewis. So we're gonna try to make our way up to that spring. I'm gonna try a little different route than the steps. I don't think my knee would handle those steps very well, but it's an option. If your knees are better than mine, or if you have trekking poles, it'd be an easy climb. But this little path here kind of switchbacks up the same way. So, and the switchback is down there, and we're climbing up this way. See the toad right there? I'll let him go. We'll continue on. Almost to the top. Down there's the switchback. And then we're gonna make a right up here. This little rhododendron tunnel will take us around that pond I was talking about. You see right there is the pond. Actually, it's almost be all the way through. I'm pretty close. And there's the spring and the stream that runs down below. So that's the spring. And then that's the pipe that we saw, spring feeds. And then those steps should be over here just a little bit. That's a butt kicker, especially when you're out of shape like I am. Woo, that's a butt kicker. See, I gotta find just how steep these steps are. Take our good old time going down. Back down to that trail. Probably been better off to come up these steps and then down. Here we are. So they're barely wide enough for my foot to catch on to. Whew. You come back down that way? Yeah. That is steep. Someone put a memorial bench up here and a plaque.
Deb Boyle. Deborah Boyle. That's what it spells out, Deb Boyle. That's neat.
It is. It's beautiful. And a beautiful spot along the trail. See the overlook of Jim Thorpe right here. And then the cemetery. All them beautiful mountains right there. 93, the courthouse, the church. Up on the top of that mountain right there is Flagstaff. And then we're Over that way a little bit more is the 100-mile view. And I don't know if you can see the split in the mountain down there. That is the Lehigh Gap, and the Appalachian Trail runs all along the top of that ridge on the far mountain out. Just to give you an idea of how far out we can see here. That mountain was on fire. That's Bear Mountain.
Oh, really?
So I think the Lenni Lenape, I think that's how the town got its name, was the Lenni Lenape called it Mauch Chunk, which in the Lenape language means sleeping bear.
Okay.
Or lying bear, something like that. But that mountain was on fire, so you can see streaks up it that are brown.
Yeah.
And then all that area in between the mountain, between here and Weisport, was on fire.
Wow.
It is beautiful. Imagine out this on a sunny day.
Yeah. But today, too bad it got overcast. It started out sunny earlier when we started this trek, but little by little we knew this was going to happen, and it was going to get a little bit overcast, but nevertheless, still an amazing view from here.
Yeah, hopefully that thunderstorm stays away.
Right, yeah. Before we can get back to the cars.
You can see the area where we are here. There was actually track that came up this way. So you can see this, the foundations are still down there from the track in between the rocks. And it runs down here. I think they call this the Bridge to the Clouds. I know there's a plaque around here somewhere that denotes that.
I wonder if it used to be down there or something, because you can see there's like a concrete pillar or something like that.
Yeah, there's actually, I don't know if this is part of the, remember I was saying I don't know if this is part of the return track or if this is part of the downhill slope.
Oh.
But there was actually,
wow.
This is my favorite view out of the two.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, the other one's beautiful too. This is my favorite view. I love Jim Thorpe. I love the town. I love the D&L. I love the history, the railroad, the train station, Asa Packer. It's all amazing, to me anyway, to know that all that was pretty much the foundation for the Industrial Revolution that started in that tiny little town. You know, it's really kind of incredible if you think about it. So if you're ever feeling small and thinking you can't make a difference, that's the perfect example. Jim Thorpe is the perfect example. Mauch Chunk. It's a small town, but pretty much the Industrial Revolution was fired up from that town, quite literally, with the coal industry that ran through here. So there's some more shots of those pillars, and then the abutment that I was sitting on up top there, and then it runs all the way down here past Lewis and crosses over down here, which is right in there. So I mean, there is definitely a lot of history along here that you can still see, but just not quite as much as I actually had anticipated. But it's been quite a few years since I was down here. So yep, remember I said there was a car? There is that car, or what's left of that car. I have to look and see if I have pictures of this. I had pictures of this probably 15 years ago or better. There was a lot more here. You can see it's been shot at a few million times. You climbing in there and go for a drive?
Car here in the woods.
Well, for a ride.
As you can see, it's a convertible.
I don't know that we're gonna get bucked back up out of here. Who's driving this thing?
I don't know.
I think we're sitting in the back seat.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, I don't think I can get back up, so I'm just gonna hang out here for a while. Climb on in, Lewis. You want to go for a ride? You got your tetanus?
Nope.
Man,
I haven't updated my tetanus shot.
I don't recommend sitting in there.
That's why I did it.
So anybody know any history on this car? It's definitely a Buick convertible. So if you're a car guy, maybe I'll put the message out to my buddy John at Stupid Fast and see if John knows what kind of Buick this was. But it's kind of odd to find it up here on the top of a mountain in the middle of nowhere above Jim Thorpe. So you can see there's more of these pillars through here for that bridge. spans a pretty decent distance. Hopefully it'll tell us a little bit more information up ahead. So where we're standing right now, we would actually be walking underneath the train bridge. You can see the other abutment up there on top of that hill.
That's a pretty big gap there.
Yeah, it spans a pretty big area.
Almost to the Pisgah house. We are right there.
Almost.
Almost.
There's some more of that stacked stone as the trail winds through here. I'm not sure if that's the engine house or not. We're going to climb up on top of there and find out in a minute. But we are almost to the engine house. That will be our next set. Our next set of ruins should be the engine house for the Switchback Railroad. So that bridge actually spanned 475 feet across the ravine here. And I don't know about you guys, but crossing a wooden bridge in a cart like that, I would be a little hesitant. But they did. Okay, so this is the old engine house. You can see it drop down into there, and then there's more foundation up there. We'll get a little bit better of a view as we get over in that area. But this is for the steam engines, and they're very large. As you guys can see, the area that they covered is a pretty big area. So we're walking up to the other abutment, and you guys can see the height. And this spanned 475 feet to the other side of the abutment that we were sitting on a little bit ago. That overlooks the town of Jim Thorpe. And it's getting pretty windy up here. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Very good though.
So we're just about the top of the mountain, if we are not at the top of the mountain. And we're heading toward the Mount Pisgah overlook. I'm trying to get you guys a better view of the engine house. It's kind of grown in pretty good. This might be a better one to come back in the fall, or maybe even the winter, to get a better shot of. It's a little difficult to get a good decent shot of it now with all the overgrowth and the ferns and whatnot. But you can tell we're closer to town because we're starting to see graffiti. We haven't seen much graffiti at all on the way up here. We're almost to the overlook. So we're almost to the overlook here. We just passed over the bridge in the clouds. I showed you guys both abutments. This is kind of known as the crown jewel up here, the overlook of the gorge from the sorry, the Mount Pisgah overlook. But for me, that view back there on the other side of the abutment, for me, that's my crown jewel. It overlooks that town, the town of Jim Thorpe, or the town of Mauch Chunk. And it's such a beautiful area. So I'm gonna turn you guys around and you guys let me know what you think, which is the best view. This will be the Mount Pisgah overlook, and the other one is just the Jim Thorpe overlook. But both are very beautiful, and both are definitely worth the hike up. But you guys, this view is amazing. Sorry, Lewis.
No problem.
This is where we're gonna probably stop for lunch. But wow, what a view. What a view. Yep, you can see the scenic railroad down there, the bridge that everybody takes their pictures by. Way off in the distance in that little ravine there. It's a little difficult to see on this camera, but is Glenanoka Falls. Jean's Run is right there in the middle. And then you can see all the way out there, that's the Carbon County Prison. And up that way toward Tank Hollow and Hetchel's Tooth. Hetchel's Tooth is right there, that little rock outcropping. So another beautiful view of the Lehigh Gorge. Let's see how close in I can zoom in for you guys to see if we can see any of Glenanoka.
heard they're talking about reopening it.
Yep, they're talking about reopening the trail, although just a few days ago they got an emergency call for a rescue up on that trail. If we can get it to get clear in there. Glenanoka is right in the middle of your screen. And the falls climb all the way up the top of that mountain right there. And you can follow it down into the Lehigh Gorge. Zoom out a little bit. And then as you guys can see, the bridge that everybody takes their pictures by, the Y, the Lehigh Gorge Glenanoka access point is all right in view from up here. Very beautiful overlook. And then we have company flying through the screen. Thanks for the timing, pal. Water tower, prison, river, Glenanoka. Yep.
Here's a lot more pictures. Okay, with somebody.
What do you think?
Yes, absolutely. Distance was shorter, right? The climb was still good. A bit more.
I think the other ones would have been a little better to walk up versus what we walked up. You have to do some
like
research.
A wire or something like that too.
Well, I think they said they pulled a band about 3 feet wide, a metal band about 3 feet wide. I mean, obviously, I don't know, I wasn't here. So that again is the engine house, and we're kind of backtracking now to get back down on the switchback without going over the edge of the overlook. There's a way down there, but this way's a little less damaging to the knees. So we'll head that way. So beautiful climb, or beautiful view at the end of the climb. Not really much of a climb to get up on this part of it, but little bits and pieces. But the payoff at that overlook is definitely worth it in my opinion. Both overlooks. The mine was cool. Kind of wish there was a little bit way to get on there before the park. That would have been nice. More of those ruins. So this must be an older section here, because this has stone wall, like a stacked stone ruins, and then over on that side looks like concrete or cement. But again, you'll notice there's no mortar in these stacked stones, which I just find is absolutely incredible. And then we're hiking back down, and you can see that placard that Lewis stopped to read earlier. That tells you about the bridge and the bridge in the clouds. And again, there's the abutment, and then the other abutments on the other side. Right now we're looking for an old wagon road to get down off the mountain. Walk down in front of that engine house, I guess. Oh yeah, we could have come up this way. This was one of the thoughts I had too about coming up this road. But like I said, 2 miles out to that mine, 2 miles back, we're still probably doing about the same mileage wise. I think anyway. Maybe not. There's definitely more on the Jim Thorpe side as far as ruins than there is on the Summit Hill side. Alright, so making our way down off of Mount Pisgah, taking an old wagon road. I believe it's an old wagon road down from the top of the mountain, the top of the incline plane. Very rocky, so I'm kind of watching my footing, so I apologize that I'm not trying to hold eye contact. I'm trying to watch my step here and watch my footing. You can see it kind of looks like steps going up there again. But so some of the cool things, just to rehash what we saw. The trail itself is nice. It's a beautiful trail. It's an easy walk in the woods or a bike ride. But I think I found the steps pretty interesting. That little, the little pond up above, those steps was interesting. The little rhododendron tunnel, of course, I like those. You guys know this already. But the mine was pretty cool. I can't wait to get back up here and explore that a little bit more. I was hoping to get in there today, but it is pretty flooded out, unless that's the standard amount of water that's in there. I'm not really sure. It is raining, if you guys can hear it or not. Just a light rain right now, just coming in through the trees and the overgrowth in the forest here. But beautiful trail, beautiful area, beautiful views of both Jim Thorpe, Mauch Chunk, and the Lehigh River. You know, we actually got to see the train cross over the bridge. That was pretty cool. And some of the birds that flew in front of the overlook while we were up there. But hope you guys enjoyed this video. Definitely a fun little trip and my first collab. So I appreciate Lewis for coming along with me, and I'll put a link to his channel down below. And be sure you guys check out his video as well. I'm sure we have different aspects on, you know, what we saw. Our videos will be creatively different, obviously. But great guy. Really enjoyed hanging out with him today. And if you get a chance, go up to Mount Pisgah, enjoy your lunch, and let me know what you guys think. Send me a picture of that overlook. So that was definitely like the highlight of it. Getting to eat lunch at Mount Pisgah, overlooking the Lehigh Gorge, getting to see that train come through. I mean, that couldn't have been better timing. I just said it a few minutes before, and then the passenger train came through. So it was pretty cool to get to see that. You know, the overlook itself is absolutely beautiful. So it was a pleasure, a pleasure hanging out with you today. I appreciate you coming along with me. So this would have been another option to climb up the Mount Pisgah. But the reason we took the way we did is because we wanted to see the Hacklebernie Mine, and any ruins that would have been along the switchback on the way down from Mauch Chunk Lake. Passed over the Hacklebernie Mine. So if we would have hiked back out from here to the Hacklebernie Mine, I believe that's about 2 miles, and then up the steps, would have added quite a bit on. So it would have came out to about the same amount of mileage. So just something to take into consideration. If you're after just that view at Mount Pisgah, highly recommend just coming up this wagon road. It's much quicker to get up here, or if you're feeling energetic, hike straight up that plane. So this is actually the road. If you were just looking to get up to the Mount Pisgah overlook, you could just take this road right up here, and it would take you right up there. It's a little bit of a climb, probably a much steeper climb than what we did though on the way up here. That's the way I would recommend going. Or you can take the adventurous way like we did and see a lot more than just the trail. You get to see the mine, pond, you get to see the Indian steps, both sets. I know there's more there to see, the engine house, a few other things, but there is definitely more up there to see, and we'll make a return trip for that. All right, guys, so that's going to wrap it up for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the trip through the Switchback Trail. Again, we left from Mauch Chunk Lake this morning, did the Switchback Trail out to the Indian Steps. We got to see the Hacklebernie Tunnel, although we will have to make a return trip to the Hacklebernie Tunnel to get back into there. Just do a little more of exploration. The other side of the Indian Steps, the pond up above the Indian Steps, the engine house, the bridge to the clouds. Yeah, bridge to the sky, bridge to the clouds. I always mess that up. So we got to see both of them. We got to see some beautiful overlooks. The Jim Thorpe overlook is stunning. And the Mount Pisgah overlook is absolutely a beautiful place to have lunch. Couldn't ask for better company today. Lewis from Simplo Expo Venturing was here with me today. I think we got around 6 miles, just shy of 6.5 miles, between Mauch Chunk Lake, up and down the banks, up and down the steps, and then down into Jim Thorpe. So again, guys, this is Lewis. He was kind enough to make the trip up and to make the journey with us today. Lewis, you want to give these guys a little bit of a visual on what you thought of the trail, the Switchback Trail?
It was a great trail. It has a nice 3%.
Yeah, I think it's like 3 or 4%
grade going up the whole way. You can't really tell you're going up until you look down to the sides. There was a lot of times where it was pretty uneventful going up the trail till we got up to the Hacklebernie Mine and stuff like that, and did a kind of little thing going over it there. So, and there was a few steps that I got to go up. I think he called them Indian steps.
Yeah,
so
that's what it is on the map.
That was fun. And then finally getting up to Mount Pisgah and seeing the view, gorgeous view, even though it was overcast day today, but still a beautiful view. We got to catch a train going by as we were having our lunch up there, which was my first time doing a rehydrated meal. So I don't know how it's going to turn out on my part of the video, but hopefully it'll be okay. Fortunately, it didn't go too well for me. I used a little bit too much water, but so it was more like a chicken rice soup. Chicken fried rice soup instead of chicken fried rice.
That's how we learn, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I had a great time. It was a great time getting up there and getting to talk to this guy too as well, and getting to know him and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to come back and doing something again in the future.
Yeah, we got to get in that Hacklebernie Tunnel. Hopefully I can drag Lewis along. And he brought the sun. I don't know if, I'm sure I'll show you guys in the video, but I used a little headlamp and you couldn't see nothing. Lewis flicked on his light and it was like daylight in the tunnel. And you actually tell just how deep the water was.
Yeah.
So
I brought I had this Hyper Tough brand. It's like a 5,000 lumen headlight. It's almost like a light that you would use more like when you're working and doing construction around your house. That's what it's designed for and stuff like that. So I brought that one along to illuminate inside, but unfortunately the tunnel had a lot of flooding in there right now at this time of the year. So hopefully we'll be able to get back and crawl and see how far back we can, if we can get back to the 200 feet where the cave has fallen in and stuff like that. Collapsed.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to try that, guys. So I'm gonna leave you guys with this. Get out there, explore, see what you can see. Show this man some love. Click that like button, hit a subscribe button, check out his videos, check out my videos, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. One more quick view of the Mount Pisgah overlook. What a beauty. You got to get up here on a sunny day or a fall day. I'm sure this is absolutely beautiful in the fall.